In Batu, a small town where red dust clings to everything it touches and the evening sun paints the rooftops gold, lived a young woman named Zua. Her name meant light, though for most of her life, she felt dimmed, like a flame fighting to stay alive against the wind. From childhood, Zua had learned to shrink herself. She spoke softly, too softly, afraid that her words might break in the air. When she tried to speak, her tongue betrayed her with stutters, and laughter from others would fold her deeper into silence. Her mother used to say, "The moon does not compete with the stars, it waits for its time to shine." But Zua never believed that time would come for her. At school, she wasn't the brightest in the eyes of her teachers, though her mind held the quiet kind of brilliance that blooms unseen, like seeds buried too deep. As the years went by, her friends found paths that seemed paved with blessings. Weddings, good jobs, new homes. And Zua watched, clapping for them, smiling for them, while inside, her heart felt heavy with the question she dared not ask. What about me? Her life became a shadow of itself. Shallow friendships. Men who saw her worth only in moments, jobs that paid her enough to survive but never enough to live. Every poor choice mirrored how she saw herself. Unworthy, unseen, undeserving. And so the seasons turned. By the time she reached her late 30s, Zua's laughter had grown tired. Her last boyfriend had left, taking with him what was left of her fragile hope, and the job that barely sustained her was gone too. That evening, Zua climbed the hill that overlooked her village, the same hill she had always gone to when the noise of life grew too heavy. The sunset stretched across the sky in copper and fire, but she felt none of its warmth. Beneath the old baobab tree, she sank to her knees and wept until her tears turned to dust. When the sobs finally quieted, an old ache rose in her chest. The ache of missing her grandmother, Mama Naki, the one person who had always understood her without words. Even through silence, Mama Naki could hear her pain. On impulse, Zua went home, packed a small bag, and caught the late evening bus to her grandmother's village, 2 hours away, through winding roads and memory. As she stepped off the bus, the air greeted her like a forgotten lullaby. The smell of roasted maize, red earth, and rain on tin roofs. Mama Naki was sitting on her veranda, wrapped in her faded blue shawl, her eyes soft and knowing. She didn't ask a single question. She simply opened her arms, and Zua fell into them, weeping again, not the loud kind this time, but the quiet, trembling sobs that come when you finally feel safe. They sat together for a long while. The sun dipped behind the mango trees, and the cicadas began their evening song. At last, Mama Naki spoke, her voice low and steady, like the hum of the earth itself. "My child, you've been carrying the world alone. Sit down. Let it rest for a while." Zua tried to smile, but it came out broken. "Mema, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm tired of failing. I'm tired of always starting over." Mema Naki looked at her, that long, patient look that seemed to see straight into the soul. "My daughter," she said softly, "what sorrow sits so heavy on your heart that even the birds have stopped singing for you?" Zua wanted to answer, but all that came out was another sob. Mema Naki said nothing more. She simply held her hand, her silence warm and steady, the kind of silence that heals. When Zua finally found her words, they came in a rush. The disappointments, the loneliness, the shame. Mema Naki listened without interruption. When the story was done, she sighed, a deep, ancient sound, like wind moving through old trees. "Zua," Mema Naki said, "you look around and think life has forgotten you. You see others walking ahead while you remain still. But listen to me. What is delayed is not denied. Life has its own rhythm. Some trees bear fruit in spring, others in late harvest, but each gives its offering in time. Don't rush your blooming, my child. Every soul has its season. Zua sat quietly, letting her grandmother's words settle into her like warm rain. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then, softly, she whispered, "But Mama, if every soul has its season, then why do I always feel unworthy of mine?" Mema Naki turned to her, her eyes deep with tenderness, the kind that saw far beyond words. "Ah," she said softly, "so that is what truly burdens you. Not time, my child, but how you see yourself. It isn't life that forgot you. Perhaps it is you who forgot yourself." She reached for Zua's hand, her touch warm and steady. "You cannot receive what you do not believe you deserve. The world mirrors how you see yourself. If you think you are less, you will keep accepting less. That is why your journey has been delayed, not by fate, but by your own heart, waiting to remember its worth." The words struck Zua like truth she had been running from all her life. Her breath caught. She looked down at her hands, hands that had worked, given, held, and let go, and realized how long she had been measuring her worth by what she hadn't achieved. The job she lost, the love that left, the milestones she never reached. Tears welled in her eyes again, not from sorrow this time, but from recognition. A deep stirring of something awakening inside her. "But Mama," she whispered, her voice trembling, "how do I love myself when I don't even know how?" Mema Naki smiled gently, the corners of her eyes softening like the first light of dawn. "You begin," she said, "by choosing yourself first. When you choose yourself, you begin to water the seed of love that has always lived within you." Zua frowned, confused yet curious. "Choosing myself? I don't even know what that means." Mema Naki chuckled quietly, shaking her head. "It means, my daughter, that you stop giving your peace to people who make your heart heavy. You stop chasing things that do not honor your spirit. You start asking yourself simple questions. Will this bring me peace? Will this make me proud later? If the answer is yes, then you have already begun to love yourself." She paused, letting her words sink deep. The air between them grew still, filled only by the hum of crickets and the faint rustle of night. "And when you don't know the answer," Mama Naki continued, "listen to your spirit. That small, soft voice that whispers in stillness. It never lies. If something feels wrong, step away. Your spirit always knows before your eyes can see." Then she leaned closer, her eyes gleaming in the fading light. "Loving yourself is not a destination, Zua. It is a journey, a long one. You must learn to choose peace over chaos, truth over comfort, and growth over approval. When you honor yourself, everything that is not meant for you will fall away." The two women sat in silence as night wrapped gently around them. The air was cool and thick with the scent of earth. Crickets sang their familiar chorus. Above them, the stars, patient and ancient, blinked into the sky like old friends returning home. The next day, back in her small room, Zua took a scrap of paper and wrote a promise to herself. She placed it beside her bed where she could see it every morning. "Today, I choose myself." At first, it was in small ways. Saying no to what drained her, spending quiet mornings alone without guilt, smiling at her reflection even when she wasn't sure she believed it. Slowly, like dawn breaking over distant mountains, something began to shift. The world did not change, she did. Her mornings grew lighter. The same streets she had once walked in despair now shimmered with possibility. The same face she had despised in the mirror began to look familiar, like a friend she was finally learning to forgive. She took a new job, one she once thought was beneath her, and turned it into something of worth through grace and diligence. She began to write poetry, small and trembling at first, but full of truth. And soon, people began to notice her light. Not the surface kind, but the quiet glow that comes from healing. Years later, when Zua stood atop that same hill, older now, but radiant, she thought of Mama Naki. She could almost feel her presence in the wind, her laughter carried softly through the rustling of the baobab leaves. And in that moment, Zua understood. The delay had never been punishment. It had been preparation. All those years she thought she was being denied, life had been shaping her, teaching her patience, humility, strength, and above all, self-love. And that, dear listener, is the story of Zua, the woman who learned that what is delayed is never denied. And that sometimes, the longest journey we take is the one back to ourselves. Carry her story with you, as a quiet whisper in the restless hours. When your heart begins to doubt its own timing, remember, the fruit does not rush its ripening, and the sun does not hurry to rise. Your season will come when your spirit is ready to receive it. So, choose yourself gently, as Zua did. Tend to your heart with patience, and let your peace become the proof of your becoming. If this tale has found a place in you, share it softly, with the friend who feels left behind, with the sister learning to love her reflection, or with the part of yourself still waiting for permission to bloom. Until we meet again by the fire, walk kindly with your own heart, trust the rhythm of your becoming, and never forget, what is delayed is never denied.